Hi, I lost $20,000 in 2025 and I didn't use it to scam or crypto or any of those kind of things. I lost it building a business. Before I go into it, I don't want anyone to feel sorry. I'm not here to, this is not for me to get you to feel sorry for me. I'm just simply telling my story just so people who are in my situation or who have tried building businesses and lost would actually hear from someone else, let them know that they have someone else on their side. And mostly what you find on the internet is just guys how they became millionaires of a business and this and that, but there's not too many people telling stories on the other side, so I'm good. By the end of this video, I would have told you everything about the business, like to walk you through the decisions I made, the things I think broke the business, and everything about the business in general that you would probably find useful. But before then, I'll give you a little bit of context on what this business is. So the company name is supposed to be SportSuite. The idea for the business is it was supposed to be a travel brand that basically took sporting fans to sporting events around the world, be it Formula One, tennis, whatever sport that had a whole bunch of fans going to. I thought about it, there's 400,000 people going to events every single weekend. There's no way if my company could serve 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, we wouldn't be doing fine. So that's what I had in mind, what I thought was going to be the case on surface. But behind it, there was just so much that I didn't even account for. Like so much that I didn't even account for. Things like I had no idea you'd have to get licensing to use content from Formula One. I had no idea that I had to find tickets from like sponsored events. Mind you, these events, they have people who sell their tickets and they have contracts with them. So you have to find a way to either buy face value or you make some money by getting to them, which is still not the easiest thing. I had no idea you needed APIs for flights, hotels, and a whole bunch of things that this business, which I was going to build in an app, was going to need. So it's just crazy, but I'll run you guys through it anyways. That's why we're here today. So firstly, you guys understand what the business is all about and how I got into finding out about this business. So let's talk about what the day-to-day events of building this business was like. So when I got the idea, obviously I didn't just dive into it straight. I did a little bit of research, just a tiny bit, and I kept seeing motivational speakers that said, you gotta go before you know what you're doing. Step into it, go ahead, toss the hat, it will force you to move. All of that just put me in a phase of like, oh, I'm Superman and I can do this. So I went in, but then I did a little bit of research, realized every single business in that space was using websites. Now I didn't know why they were using websites, but I did understand later on. I just wanted to go straight, have an app, and dive into selling tickets to people. I was trying to build the app. Obviously, I'm not very technical in any way, but I said, what's the easiest way to get an app? I thought about Freelancers on Fiverr and Upwork, but for some reason, I just didn't click. And then I spoke to someone I know, like one of my old friends. He is a developer. I gave him the idea, and somehow he managed to convince me to give the project to him and his friends. I have no idea how that happened. Sitting back now and listening to myself, like genuinely, I'm the kind of person that gives advice on stuff. But it felt like at that moment, everything I knew, all of the advice I had, or whatever I would have told anyone, just went out my head. I had a few guys building out the prototype already, just trying to find out what it would look like. But then he managed to convince me to give the business to him and his company. So now I said, okay, just give me a quote. What is it going to look like to build this thing? The figure they gave me was in Naira, which is Nigerian now, but I will convert it in dollars. We started off at like 25,000. Now, to me, because I didn't know much, I thought it was, oh, these guys, they were charging a premium amount, which means they knew what they were doing. Not doing it for a few years. But they somehow convinced me, and then we ended up at 22 million, which is about $17,000. Somehow I just went all in. I'm like, okay, let's get this started. Now, I don't want to blame them. Of course, I wouldn't blame them for how the whole thing went, because most of the blame, in fact, 100% of the blame, I take it personally, because if you're going to commit to something and you're trying to make it work, you should be able to see the loopholes, walk around how you can get it to work. They just did their part and I did my part, so I take the blame for every single thing. Do I still speak to them? No. The partnership didn't end off well, but it does happen, especially for how things played out for us. So I went ahead, I gave them an advance, I think it was about 5,000, and they built a mock-up. At first it was going good, their side of it was going good. On my side, I was sending cold emails to racetracks trying to get them to allow me to resell their tickets. I got replies from a few, Bahrain, I think Monaco, and a few other races, which I was totally like, that part I was confused, like, oh, this guy actually did reply. I'm like, okay, now we're going. The app on its own, we agreed 3 months. It was supposed to be done in 3 months. I had already played out the timeline so that we would get started at the beginning of the 2025 season, which was my plan. Because we started off in January. I think this season started in March. That was the plan. And then all of a sudden, for the first month, the timeline we had, it wasn't met. Now, I won't lie, they did a whole lot. They put the app on, there's this icon you have on your phone. Like, you know how the app icons on your phone? They built a mock-up that I had on my phone and I was testing. Now, with no technicality, I just believed, oh, damn, these guys, they know what they're doing. Like, we are on track. That was what I believed. But after that, like, that was just slowed down. Now, you have to know I work a 9 to 5, so I was only able to work after my 9 to 5, then I get into the work of sending emails. I had a virtual assistant in the Philippines who was doing some of the emailing and the research and stuff that I needed. So that's basically how the day-to-day was. After my 9 to 5, I'd come in, jump into the business and do the much I can, go back to sleep. But on the weekends, I was basically trying my best to build it. They built up until they built a structure, and that was it. Now it was time to connect the APIs for flights, hotels, and ticketing. We built a system in the app that was supposed to run the ticket. For the flight and the hotel APIs, that's basically where everything broke. Somehow they just couldn't get to, we agreed on using an API, but somehow they just couldn't get past that. Hotel beds was supposed to be our API for hotels, and flights, I can't remember, I think it was Sabre or one of those guys, but those were the companies we're supposed to use for the hotel and flight. But that was where everything broke. They kept emailing. I don't blame them. I should have done something about it as well. So we just kept on going back and forth, and 1 month turned to 2 months, turned to 3 months, 4 months, and it was 6 months later, and the season had already gone far. So after 6 months of just going back and forth, trying and doing this and doing that, I started telling myself, I saw what we were doing, I saw how far we had come, and I saw what was left. Then at this point, I started learning a few things, like, oh, you don't just build an app and sell tickets. I started realizing that there was so much in the system that needed to be done for us to be able to serve people. That was when I started researching, started reading on business, started watching videos, Alex Mosi, Daniel Presley, and I realized that there was a million ways I could have done this stuff and not this way. Like, that was what opened my eyes, genuinely. And then the guys building the app, there was just a gap where they weren't doing as much. My virtual assistant, we had sent all the emails, so I got them back. Most of the replies that I thought we were going to get back. Like, it was at that moment when the beginner slog was done, and now it's like, this is the real grind, when you have to do the things without the excitement of the business idea. So at this point, I started realizing, oh, I did make a mistake, and I was far into it. Was I going to turn around immediately and just let everything go? I had not made up my mind, but I just kept on trying. So eventually, after like, I think it was August, after 8 months of trying, I told the guys we can't continue with this. And bear in mind, I had already paid a huge chunk of the money, and I was like, we can't keep doing this. It turned into a fight. We went back and forth, and I said some things, they said some things. I do understand that's the way it goes. So we kind of like, we part ways in the most amicable way I could think of it. So I had paid, and they gave me what I paid for, what they had done. It was okay, and then I stepped back from, like, let them go, took the project on myself, and said, you know what, let me try one more time to see what I can do with this app. So I fell into another trap. Onlinejobs.ph, that's where you find virtual, like, remote workers in the Philippines. Oh boy, I could have just stayed back with the guys that were building my stuff. Because the guys from the Philippines, they would just, like, I brought in someone, check this project, what do you think? He gave me assessment, what needs to be done for the project to be done. But he left out the most important part, which is the APIs and the connections that was supposed to be done, and went around fixing a whole bunch of stuff in the app that wouldn't even work if the system itself wasn't right. So I spent another month, 2 months with these guys, and a few, like 1,000 or 2, just trying to see how much I can salvage the situation. My idea was, if I had the app, I can then go about every other thing around the business. I could probably just build around it and start selling the lifestyle for the business, have influencers, do a little bit of marketing. That was my plan, which I thought was going to work, but of course it didn't work. So I spent the next 2 months, September, October, going back and forth with freelancers from the Philippines. So eventually it dawned on me, like, oh no, this is not how you do stuff. This is not how you build a business. And bear in mind, I was reading at this point. I was reading every single day. I was watching videos every single day. Alex Homozy, shout out to him. His videos literally changed the way I think about business. Same as Daniel Presley. Then I read $1 Million Weekend. I read a few books that actually did help me understand that, oh, you are doing this the wrong way. Daniel Presley is someone that is always all about sell the business to people before you try to build whatever you are doing. So now I started afresh. I emailed people trying to sell the business to them, which I won't lie, I got a shit ton of response. There was a whole lot of people in the market happy to buy from us if we got everything ready. But then I still realized, oh no, I still needed more things that I wasn't even called out for. So after 9 to 10 months of going back and forth with both the developers and the guys from the Philippines, I said, let's stop and rethink before you start. So here's a breakdown of how the entire 20,000 went. So for the first developers, the first team, I paid them in Naira, it was $10,000. And then for the guys in the Philippines, for the developers alone, I paid around, I think I spent around 2,000. I don't bear in mind, while we were building the app, I had an editor. He was a video editor. He was making edits, video edits, and photo edits for our Instagram. So that set me back like 1,000 because we had like a whole bunch of nice videos he made for the different events and pictures. So that too was around $1,000. Now the virtual assistant who I had her for like 9 months, I think. And within that time, she worked around 20 to 25 hours every single week. So I was from like mid-January till September. The exact figure, I was like 4 or 5 grand. If you put it all together, it was like 4 or 5 grand just for the virtual assistant. So that was like 10 for the first developers, 2 for the guys in the Philippines, 4 grand for her. Then all of the small payments, we had the softwares in general took about 1,000 too. I was Apple development, we paid for Google, we paid for so many softwares I can't even remember. I had Hubstaff. For the people working for me, I had to track how many hours they were doing and this and that. So that's something else. So all of the software, I'll give you probably about, the software entirely, I'll give you probably about 2,000 thereabouts. So all of these numbers put together, that was it. Just an icon on my phone to show for all of that money. An icon and an Instagram that I had long removed all of the pictures on it. So the way I managed to finance this was from my savings, my 9 to 5, and a little bit from like the credit line. That's how I financed the business. So things like this, they can't just leave you without lessons. So what I learned from the experience, this whole experience, genuinely, I wouldn't even lie, I'm thankful for how I am built. Like the money, I'm not too sad about it. There's people that lose 20 grand and just go into depression. For me, I haven't really thought about it. Oh, like you lost it, but no. For me, it's just one of those things that happens in life. It's like you win some, you lose some. So for me, I counted that as one of the ones I lost. And I spoke to someone, an elder guy who, not like a mentor, but like a friend. He told me what I've learned from that money, even if I paid it in school, that's what he said. Even if you paid it in a college, you wouldn't learn that much. And there's people spending more on college just for that same knowledge. So for me, it's a win. As much as I lost money, for me, it's a win. Because right now, I've learned so much. But here are just 3 lessons that past 12 months of 2025 taught me that you wouldn't find online. So firstly, you have to do a ton of research. I can't emphasize this enough. I am telling you for a fact with evidence. Do not jump without experimenting, without reading, without researching on what you're doing. Do a shit ton of research. This will save you so much time and it will save you money. Like literally, all of the stuff I spent, I could have done it with Claude. At 2025, it wasn't super popular, but there was vibe coding in 2025 already. I could have done most of what the guys did with Claude. Second lesson, you have to find a way to sell your business to people before you start spending money on it. I'll explain. Don't just go about thinking, oh, how do I get 10 grand? How do I get 20 grand to put into the business? No. Go about finding out if you have real customers. Try to sell to them the cheapest way possible. If it's, in my case, like selling flights and experiences, post about it, do a little, spend $20 on an ad, make a video and post it. Let's see if you get guys. Try to convince people to use you to book your services. That way you start getting customers and then you build gradually. You get one customer, when you're done, testimonial, you recycle, second customer, and you build gradually. That's what I would have done. Build without spending a shit ton of money. The 20, 30 grand you're thinking of throwing into a business, sit back and think of cheapest way I can start this business without spending money. I'm stealing this idea from Daniel Presley. Sell the business before you start spending money on it. Most business ideas people have, they have no customer base for it. So sell the business before you go into it. And 3, build structure. You need structure to succeed in anything. What I mean is, you have to map out a plan for your business. You can't just go about building, let me build an app. In my case, let me build an app, then the app would attract customers. How is an app going to attract customers? There's a billion apps on the App Store. How would they find it? What do they know you're selling? How does this help? That's simple. This is something you don't really hear so much about, but you need structure. How many hours does this take? What's the best way to do this? Research and structure, they go hand in hand. It's just something that would help. Like, I've spoken to so many guys start businesses, and I see through their loopholes, like, from my experience. They're like, this is not going to work. Not because I'm wishing you bad, but simply because certain things are missing out in this plan. I'm sure most of you be asking, what is the future of Sports Suite? Genuinely, everything is on pause right now. Like, I put every single thing on pause. I was thinking I would revive it with the World Cup coming to Canada, which is where I live. But I said, no, don't make the same mistakes you made previously. I put it on pause just so I restructure myself, and the very next time you hear about Sports Suite, it will be a bigger brand than what it is right now. What am I working on right now? I thought of a business that is a little bit lean, something that's smaller than Sports Suite. Because Sports Suite, if you think about the business idea, the way it is, like the way I planned it out, it's a big business. So right now, I'm building a business called Open House Canada. It's a SaaS. It's for realtors who are in Canada who host open houses. On the basis, it's not just a directory where people go and post their open houses. No, it's a tool that helps you with advertisement of open houses in Canada, helps you with marketing tools like editing of pictures, videos on the platform. It will be as lean as possible. And it's something that every realtor in Canada would obviously love. Now, going by my 3 non-negotiables, did I do a ton of research? Yes, I did. There's companies posting open houses in Canada, obviously, but there's no centralized system. It's something I believe would help them, that's the realtors. I have done my research and I'm willing to take the risk. The second point is selling the business to customers before you start building. Yes, I have a wait list that is up right now. You can go to openhousecanada.ca to view this offer. If you're a realtor, you know anyone that's a realtor in Canada. I have sold it to a few realtors. I'm kind of like building the offer to be better, but I have one paid customer already, just one person. And I'm thankful for that, which literally means, this is something people would be interested in. So I have an offer. If you know any realtor in Canada who's interested or wants to speak about the idea in length, you can comment below or go to the website. You would find out most of the information you need. And the third one is structure. Yes, I have a structure. I have structured out the business from start to where we get the first 100 customers. My first plan, which is the wait list, is not going as planned, but it's everything can literally go the way you want. But I'm on track this time. I'm avoiding the mistakes that I made the last time. How much have I spent so far on this business? Literally, I am doing everything myself. ChatGPT is a personal expense, but I'll add it to the portion of it will go into how much I've spent. What else have I spent on this? I spent $50 on getting realtors emails around Canada that someone collected the emails because I didn't want to spend time doing it myself. Bought the domain, which is everything is literally under $150 so far. Every single thing I've spent on Open House Canada, and that's the way I plan to go from here. It's like go as lean as possible until there's traction, and then you can go ahead to splurge or put in more money into the business. So that's the future of what I'm building right now. Sports Suite is in the pipeline. Trust me, it's coming back. I've been speaking and never introduced myself. Hi, my name is John. I live in one of the coldest places in the world, a part in Canada. Over the years, I've just been jumping from one idea to the other, which has probably made it impossible for me to probably grow in one direction, but that's fine. It's part of life. But right now, I'm focused on whatever business I have at hand. We're going all in, and right now what we have at hand is openhousecanada.ca. So that's what we're building. I'll post updates about the business on the platform. If you're still here and you've watched this video today, I want to say a very big thank you for listening to my story. And if you have aspirations of building a business at this moment, you can follow. I will be sharing my experiences and my stories of building businesses from now onwards, just to give people who are yet to start or people who are at my level ideas and thoughts of what building a business in general is like. So if that's something you're interested in or you think this video was helpful in any way, join my journey, click the follow button, subscribe. And I have an Instagram, Building with John. I'll leave it up here on the screen. You can go follow me as well, as I'll be dropping shorts about my business and how it's been going all along. So with that being said, I want to say a big thank you, and I'll see you guys in another video. Thank you.